Hey, chiropractors, welcome to Modern Chiropractic Mastery with your host, Dr. Kevin Christie, where we discuss the latest in marketing, business, and professional growth with some of the leading experts in the industry. Hey, Doc, are you busy and broke? Or maybe not broke, but you're busy and broken, overwhelmed, stressed, burned out? Some of you may not be busy enough. Right? You may need more new patients. Some of you are busy, but not enough patients because you're busy doing the wrong things and you're broke, right? I've talked to a lot of chiropractors throughout the country, and there's this definite struggle with too many chiropractors not thriving. They're busy, broken, not busy enough. And ultimately, you're struggling. And my goal is to really get you from busy, broke, or broken to time free and cash confident. I think it's just the perfect recipe for longevity, for being on for your patients, providing the best care, being able to afford the right team around you, and trying to develop yourself professionally and your practice. And so in today's podcast, I'm going to dive into a handful of things here, about 9 that I've earmarked that are getting in the way, right? Getting in the way of our dream outcome when we started this journey of being a chiropractor and either owning our own practice or someday wanting to own our own practice. And my goal is for chiropractors that are willing to put in the work, willing to learn, willing to have some self-awareness. My dream outcome for you is to have a self-managing practice that is very profitable, a first-class care experience, and allows you to only do the things that you love to do. And that's frankly what you deserve after, 8 years of school and all the money invested in the time that you've put into this. Now, I know it's not going to be the outcome for everybody. I get it. But I think the ones that really have the intrinsic motivation or desire can achieve that. And so that's why I've been kind of talking about this a lot. And I know that marketing is a vehicle for that. Business acumen is a vehicle for that. I think clinical competency and being really good clinically is the table stakes for it. Like, you have to have that. That's why I do bring on clinical experts or really refer to a lot of great organizations that are helping chiropractors improve that. But at the same time, we have to be able to take that clinical skill and make it efficient and make it a market fit for you and your patients. And that's kind of been my goal. And so today we're going to dive into some of these problems and ultimately some just thoughts on it, right? And maybe how we can tackle this together. Now my goal wasn't to offend anybody by being busy and broke or broken. It's sometimes a self-reflection. And at a certain point, you have to uncover all, stones and make sure that you're getting the insights you need and even the support. And so let's dive into these 9 issues and then we'll go from there. So these are going to be the kind of 9 problems that I laid out. I'm sure there's more, but for the sake of condensing it down to something digestible for you that I think will make the most impact on your practice. Number 1 is patient acquisition, right? New patients, reactivated patients, that type of stuff. I see that being a major problem for a lot of chiropractors. And some of the issues within that is a lot of chiropractors feel like marketing is beneath them or unethical, or they're jaded by the cheesy marketing. And, you're a doctor and you shouldn't have to do marketing, right? Seems like a lot of chiropractors are struggling with referrals from patients. And, you shouldn't be afraid to ask for that. And ultimately, what's that wow factor in your practice to generate a lot of referrals, right? Community outreach. A lot of boots on the ground effort works. I mean, it truly does. If you take any chiropractor that did that consistently or does that consistently, it exponentially grew their practice. And a lot of chiropractors are either not doing any marketing or they think they can build their practice sitting behind the computer screen only. And that's just most likely not going to happen. Yeah, there's some rock stars out there that have gotten huge followings and it's been a boon to their practice, but let's assume you're not them, and it's going to be a great supplement for your practice to have a good content marketing strategy, but it's not the end all be all. Too many of you have not done enough to really position yourself as the expert in the community, and being a thought leader, around health education is a great way of doing that. And community outreach, public speaking, shooting videos, writing blogs, becoming a subject matter expert in certain arenas in your area really go a long way towards that. And then lastly, you're not doing anything to stay top of mind for your current and past patients, so you don't get a lot of reactivations, right? A lot of times we think of practice growth and patient acquisition as new patient marketing, but providing really good content to your existing and past patient base is a phenomenal way to have a consistency of reactivations and even just continual care. What do you call it? Maintenance, performance, wellness, whatever you want to call it, but enough people coming in pretty consistently just because they like coming in, it helps them perform, whether it's work, life, sport, right? And so I think those are a big part of why we're struggling with patient acquisition. And so that's the first one that I wrote down because I knew it's kind of the biggest, right? The second issue I'm seeing, and I've had some people on the podcast to talk about this, is clinical efficiency, right? Spending too much time with patients. You think you're in a time-based economy as a chiropractor, but you're in a results-based economy. And so I know a lot of chiropractors that get very clinically efficient and they get the same results, if not better, than the ones that are spending too much time. Reference the Brett Winchester podcast I had earlier in the year on this subject. Talked a lot of good stuff, right? Like you don't need to throw the kitchen sink at every visit. You can be over treating your patients during those 30-minute visits. It may, too much of a good thing for sure. Spacing out what you introduce from care. So there's a lot of great clinical efficiency nuggets in that particular episode, right? A lot of times my audience, they're rehab-based chiropractors, which is great. We all know the benefits of rehab. One of the downsides is rehab takes time. A lot of you are spending 15 to 30 minutes doing rehab. That's fine if your financial model makes sense. And so the hourly capacity we're seeing as far as what you can make is becoming a problem, right? Like if you're charging $65 and you're spending 30 minutes, that's $130 an hour. And again, I've mentioned before, that is kind of massage therapy money. And we need a whole lot more meat on the bone if we're going to really grow a practice. Patient notes. I've had clients in the past where patient notes were the hindrance of growth because they were getting so backed up. It was eating up all their time in between patients or after patients at home, impacting their relationships. They didn't want any more new patients because they knew there'd be more notes associated with that. So they were kind of secretly sabotaging themselves subconsciously. So that's a reality. So patient note efficiency is something that we see. Doing too many $20 an hour tasks, right? Fun exercise to do if you want to be depressed is start writing down all the $20 an hour tasks you do in your practice and realize if you were not doing that and you were using that time to actually do the things that grow a practice, how much better off you'd be with that, right? You feel like, people are just, coming to you and are really expecting, I talked about it in the time-based economy in the clinical efficiency part is like you don't feel like you could get great results in 12 minutes of care, right? I'm just using that number. I think a lot of times we've gone so far the other direction because, the other side of the profession spends 2 minutes with patients. And so we overcorrected a little bit, and we ultimately have a hard time being clinically efficient because part of the problem is that you're just not having the profit margin to then be able to invest in team members that can then do some of the clinical, care part as far as rehab or modalities or even subjective notes. And so you're never in this scenario where other people can help. You don't have a team around you to help you. And so like in our practice, the patients are usually here for 30 minutes of care, but the doctor's spending 10 or 12 minutes and they're getting the rest of the care from other providers, not doctors. Sorry, I shouldn't say providers, but other assistants or preceptors, things like that. And so you really struggle to get out of that vicious cycle. And so it's hard to be very clinically efficient when you're a lone wolf, but then it's hard for you to get out of the lone wolf because of a lot of these problems we're digesting here. And it becomes just, you're kind of chasing your tail a little bit. So that's what we're really trying to solve, okay? And so clinical efficiency is something that we've earmarked as a problem to achieving this dream outcome. And therefore, you're busy a lot and you may not even be booked with patients. You might say, I need to see 30% more patients, but I'm so busy because you're doing all these other things and you're spending too much time. All right, the third one, and this is something I've recently been talking a lot about, is patient adherence. Okay? And so you can reference the episode I just had with Jay Greenstein. We actually just talked about this a lot in our practice, and we had our quarterly team meeting a couple weeks ago. And so we really dove into patient adherence. And so a lot of the issues that we see a lot of chiropractors have is you don't want long treatment care plans, right? Like you think patient adherence is, patient retention of like getting them to come in for 6 months straight for the same condition, right? That's not what this is. You can develop a really good, ethically based treatment plan and do things to try to get them to adhere to that. And so we hit that hard in a lot of stuff we talk about. You treat and release. It's fine. We all should treat and release, but at the same time, what are you releasing on? A lot of evidence-based chiropractors or evidence-informed chiropractors, whatever you want to name it, are function-based, movement-based, injury prevention, injury resilience, performance, but then they use pain as the decision maker of releasing a patient after 3 visits. Did you really fix the underlying problem or the dysfunction or the movement pattern? Are they now injury resilient and not going to have it reoccur in 3 months, right? So there's a big issue with that. You got to make sure that you have a good treatment plan. Phase 1, phase 2, maybe, like get out of pain. And then once you're out of pain, hopefully get that done quickly. We can start to have fun and I can do some manual therapy that I couldn't do before because you had pain. And we can start really adding on some more intermediate and advanced rehab stuff that you couldn't do before because of your pain. So we're selling them short. You think maintenance care is useless, right? I kind of like reframing it. We call it optimal performance care in our practice. And I mentioned this before, we're the training room for your life, and we're trying to make sure they're optimally performing in work, life, and sport, whatever that may be for them, however often that might be for them. But we try to have a nice sit-down conversation on the benefits of having work done, whether it's once a month or if they're training really hard for something, it's once a week or once every other week. There's a lot of variables that you can handle clinically. I'm not here to tell you what that would be, but optimal performance care is a great way of keeping people healthy, putting out fires, and having some sustainability in your practice. You don't want to hound patients, right? That's another one I think a lot of people are concerned about with patient adherence. And there's a very elegant way of having great patient adherence, and it doesn't mean calling up the patient 5 times, trying to convince them to come back in when they left. So that's something I think a lot of people struggle with as well. And then ultimately your communication, you're not willing to look the patient in the eye and have conviction with what they need, what they need to get better, what you recommend, and confidently saying that to them. And so patient adherence is definitely a problem in achieving our dream outcome. Number 4, fair reimbursement. I get it. It's not the same as it was in the 1980s and 1990s. Insurance just doesn't pay us what we're worth. I do know many great practices that are in network with insurances and built great systems around that. One of our associate coaches, Kurt Kimmenberger, is one of those. Just a phenomenal practice and in network in Missouri, and it's not one of those states that pays well with insurance. So you can definitely do it, right? But I know that's definitely a struggle. There's no doubt about it, right? You may not feel comfortable with charging more. And we just recently had a post about that in the Facebook group, in the MCM Facebook group there. And that's a thing, right? And so you may have a poverty mindset. You may project your money psychology on your patient base. And so you have a hard time charging more. I get it. But there's nothing wrong with charging what you're worth. Fair reimbursement, can be a problem when you're spending a lot of time with patients. It's hard to find good reimbursement, right? Like if I said to you, if you're spending 30 minutes with a patient, I think you're worth $250 an hour. That means you have to charge $125 a visit, every visit, right? That's hard. Some people do it. It can be done, but I get it. That's a challenge for you. So that's where we try to make sure that hourly capacity math works. And you just tweak how many people can you see in an hour, how much time you're spending with it, how much you're charging, how much you're getting reimbursed with insurance. Some of you are running a model of care that is just absolutely incongruent with insurance reimbursement. You're in network with insurance and you're spending 20 minutes with a patient. It just doesn't add up, unfortunately. If you're concerned if you charge more, you'll be slow. And those are legitimate struggles. So I get it. Fair reimbursement is a problem that we're seeing in this dream outcome goal. 5 is burnout, right? You're seeing more patients and you're making less money. And that's not fun. And that's a reality, especially some of my older docs that have been doing this for a long time. Reimbursement is continuing to go down. So you're seeing more patients and making less money. You're burned out. You don't have time to do the networking, the marketing, all the things to grow a practice. You're like, how do I possibly grow this practice when I have no time to do anything else? And that becomes a burnout possibility, right? You're always reactive in your marketing or networking, right? Like you're busy and then you stop doing it, and then you're slow and then you react. You don't have something in place where you consistently have marketing. And what I harped on over the last 7 years of having modern chiropractic marketing is you have to be consistent in your marketing. That's what works. Okay. Your practice is stressing you out in general, and you're just overall very stressed about it. It's anxious. You're anxious. There's just a lot of things that can be challenging for sure. If you're new to practice, like if you're kind of early on in this whole thing, there's an interesting book, and you don't have to go read it. It's a very dense read, but Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman. And in that book, it's interesting. He talks about there's 2 kind of ways of thinking, right? And there's this kind of level 1 and level 2. I might be using the wrong word, level, but ultimately, 1 is where it's just automatic, right? 2 + 2 is 4. That is just easy. And then level 2 thinking is more of where you have to really start grinding your gears to think through it, right? 25 times 126, right? Okay, I got to really start thinking through that one. That's that deep thinking part of it. And in practice, you find, like, if you've been doing this for a long time, a lot of you are just right in that level 1 thinking. It's smooth. And every so often you get hit with a level 2, and it's like, oh, okay, got to do that. You hate it when it's at like 5:30 at night. You know what I'm saying. And so if you're younger into practice, unfortunately, you're grinding gears into that level too. And really, it's hard. The good news is for you, it'll get better. Okay. You won't be grinding your gears as much. So some of you are definitely in that phase. And that can feel like, heck, I'm only 3 years into this. How am I ever going to deal with this forever? Because this is just, this critical thinking is just killing me. It's going to get better. But if you're a seasoned doc and, you got all these things and you're too busy with all the stuff, you don't have time for anything. Your brain's having a hard time thinking with patients. You're thinking about other things when you're with patients. You're just kind of all over the place. You got to be careful. And we want to avoid some of this burnout. The great thing is if you can achieve this kind of dream outcome for yourself, and yours might be a little different than what I stated, you're really going to be able to have the longevity in this practice, right? And with the dream outcome that I mentioned, again, just to reiterate, self-managing practice that is very profitable, first-class care, and allows you to only do the things you love to do, it's kind of a general statement. Like for me, it was exiting patient care, and I achieved that. For you, it may not be that. For you, it may just be like, I want to treat patients and do notes. Treat patients, do notes. You may want to practice part-time, 2 or 3 days a week. Great. You might be one of those, outgoing, gregarious people, and you love to get in the community network, and that's all you want to do. You want to have doctors run the practice, and you're just out building relationships. That could be it too, right? There's a lot of ways you can slice it, but I think what I stated as the dream outcome really is a good summary for everything. You can just fit it right into there. Number 6 is business decision making. A lot of us just aren't classically trained in business and don't have the expertise in that. And a lot of you don't know how to make accurate business decisions, right? It's not easy. And having someone to help you out with that is very helpful, right? You may struggle with financial decisions on how to invest into growth, what to charge, right? There's a lot of financial decision making that need to go into this. You think business and healthcare don't mix, right? I love the idea that as a doctor, one of the things that's great business is having an optimal patient experience. That's great business. From there, you're compelling people. You're not having to convince people. And so being good at business as a doctor doesn't mean you're a shark, okay? You may know nothing about business, and that's fine. There's always time to learn, right? So business decision-making is definitely one of those struggles that I'm seeing. Number 7 is cash flow confidence, right? You never have a lot of profit, and you don't know how to have a lot of profit. You don't even know what good profit looks like. I get it. Cost of doing business is high. Inflation is a real you-know-what right now, and I get it. You don't have enough revenue in general, so it's hard to have good profit margins when you don't have enough revenue. You don't even know what good revenue would be. I'm actually working through this. I'm kind of like reverse engineering. What would it look like? What's the amount of money, revenue, kind of baseline to then have a really like a good team, like a really good front desk, a really good CA, and yourself. So a 3-person team, I feel like, is the nuclear team for a chiropractic practice. And what would it look like to have that team, a nice office space, be able to have profit every month, be able to reinvest and grow? So I'm kind of doing a whole little project on reverse engineering that aspect of it. So that's been fun so far. The cash flow confidence part is you may just have a poor hourly financial capacity, right? And that is how many patients can you see in an hour and how much do you charge per patient? If you can see 3 in an hour and you charge 60, that's $180 an hour. It's probably not enough. If you're in a very small town, it might be. If you're in a suburb or, more expensive, probably not going to be enough. All right, number 8, team development, which I just kind of touched on. You have trust issues. Some people don't build a team because you have trust issues. You can't afford a front desk. You're trying to afford yourself, let alone the front desk. You can't afford a CA. You can't afford an associate, right? To have this dream outcome, you're going to have a team around you, and you don't know where to start on that. You don't have an adequate training program for team members. You don't even know how to do that. Hard to find good talent, and they're expensive, right? Those are some of the things I'm hearing, some of the struggles. Definitely a reality. And then lastly, number 9, space and equipment. A lot of you are renting a room from a gym. It's fine. That's what I did. Did it twice. Rented a room for an orthopedic office, but I always knew I had to get out of there. Had to graduate to the next level. Space can be one of the biggest hindrance to growth. You don't have enough treatment rooms to grow, and you need more equipment. You have some bottlenecks with equipment or don't have the ideal equipment that you want for your ideal patient experience, right? And so those are 9 problems that I'm seeing, right? And you're probably asking yourself, what are the solutions for that? That would be probably a 26-part podcast episode if I were to do that. But instead, we've had MCM Mastery, which has been the coaching for a few years now, and it's been awesome. And talking to chiropractors and that, obviously interviewing people on podcasts, going to different cities and public speaking, talking to other chiropractors inside the Chiropractic Success Academy, inside the Facebook group, just a lot of people I talk to, which has been something that I forget where I heard this, but I feel like my role in helping chiropractors out is that I'm in a unique position to kind of collect and catalog resources that will help you grow. And that's been my goal in all of this. And one of the things that I started to realize as I talked to, especially coached a lot of chiropractors, is I would coach them on all these things, like all the solutions to all these problems, and a lot of it would help. And we've had such great results, which has been awesome. But then on the marketing side of things, they would start to understand and get marketing and open to it. But going back to that too busy part of this whole thing is they were just too busy to consistently do the marketing, right? And we kept on hearing that. And, we looked at that. And so a lot of people don't realize this, but back in June, so what is that, 4 months ago, we completely transformed MCM Mastery. And we really transformed it, but we only did it at the time we had 24 one-on-one clients that I had, and we transformed them into this new model, which I'm going to explain now and how this benefits everybody. And then we ultimately, like some of the ones that naturally, like chiropractors that naturally reach out to me, we onboarded this to them as well. So now we're up to 30 clients that are in this particular model. And so what it is we actually are now doing your marketing, production and distribution, right? And so we ask for you to shoot 4 videos and send them to us. And we even train you on all that stuff. And you send them to us, and then we actually brand them for your practice, your color scheme, logo, information. We edit and produce the videos. So it's 4 raw videos sent to us, and now they're beautiful. And you're the talent. And in a nutshell, we took the struggle or problem of being able to do and produce and distribute all the marketing, and now we're allowing you to just be the talent or be the subject matter expert. And then once we produce those videos, we put it on your YouTube channel for you. We put all the descriptions on YouTube, all that stuff. All that is handled. We also distribute it through your Facebook business page, your Instagram. We send out the weekly email for you. We take your videos and we turn it into one really good blog every month. We put that blog it goes on your website. Your YouTube video goes into the blog. We Google My Business post for the blog, right? The blog is sent out as an email. We've also contracted with Darcy Sullivan to where every other month you get a very robust blog that's just completely SEO rich, and that goes on your website, and that also is distributed out as well through all these channels. And so now you just schedule out a short period of time. shoot the videos, get them to us, and then everything else is taken care of. So now your practice has marketing. We've had some clients that have associates, and so the associates are helping out as a subject matter expert. And so that's been great. And so we're really taking the marketing from you, so you don't have to do all that. But it's not canned content. It's unique to you. It's a higher value because you're the subject matter expert, but it's branded to you as well. And so we felt like it was a huge need for chiropractors. And now we've realized, like, for the space of evidence-informed chiropractors, we're in a unique situation here where we're offering you a combination of coaching and marketing done for you. And no one's doing that. And so there's really 4 aspects of what MCM Mastery is now. And one is what I just laid out for you. You the talent, we do everything else. The second is it's a group coaching program. And the last 4 months of the group coaching has just been amazing. We offer 2 calls a week, the Tuesdays and Wednesdays, different times. And the Tuesday and the Wednesday call are the same material. So you hop on one of those. We ask that you make 2 of those a month, but each week is something different. And then we have it really organized well you have all the recordings and homework and access on a nice Google Sheet that if you miss a call or whatever. But we ask that you make at least 2 of those per month. And what's been cool about it is since I've been able to step away from patient care, I've had a lot more time to really do some deep work and make these coaching calls very detailed and plan them out and provide the information. But then it's been great to have anywhere from 6 to 15 people on these calls, and everybody, we break out. You can do like small group Zoom breakouts. We do that. We're in a large group, a lot of ideas being bounced around. You're not left on an island. And so it's been amazing to tackle these problems that I just laid out in today's show via these group coaching calls. And so one is you get the marketing, production, and distribution. 2 is the group coaching calls. 3 is if you need anything individual, like with Kurt Kippenberger, with some of our other experts, Jesse, who is our kind of marketing integrator. He handles a lot of making sure that him and our actual marketing coordinator, so he's the integrator. We have a marketing coordinator, Anthony, and they're working a lot. You have an onboarding call with him to make sure that whole production and distribution is handled. But he's got some great insights on stuff. We set you up with some other experts if it's something particular. You have access to me through Voxer, email. If we have to hop on a phone call to put out a fire, there's that. So there's some individual aspects to this as well. The group coaching call is definitely the substance of the coaching, and then being able to tease out some of the things or put out some fires, we do that as well. And then the 4th is the Chiropractic Success Academy is now part of this. And that has everything from the digital dashboard, which has marketing planners and event calendars, practice analytics sheets, indicator scorecards, like all of your tracking and planning. So like how you would want to build out your campaigns for the quarter. And then from there, you can tease it out through the editorial calendar. Okay, campaign on headaches. We're going to shoot these 4 videos. This is going to be our blog. This is what's going on email. And so now you've got documented, planned, proactive marketing through the dashboard, and you have everything else that comes along with CSA, which is the actual academy, which is a bunch of lessons. So now your practice has attached to it trainings and playbooks and lessons on this. How do I do a tag on MailChimp? Boom, we got a lesson on that. How do I understand finances for this? Here's a lesson for that, right? So it's just a chock full of information. There's a closed Facebook group with CSA that's great, and there's a bunch of other stuff which you could access as well. And so now it really is all 4 things lumped in together to really solve these problems for you and try to have accountability and a plan and ultimately free you up to do the things that are going to really grow your practice. And that's why ultimately we designed this the way we did. Now, like I mentioned, we're at 30 members right now. It's when this comes out, it's like late October. We can only really take on 15 people right now through the end of the year because there is an onboarding. Like when people that sign up, there's an onboarding call with me, there's an onboarding call with Jesse, then we get your content going. There's a whole thing that we do. And so we really only going to take another 15 for the rest of this year. And it's a great time for you to join us because we're going to be really diving in and you can get onboarded fully before 2023 starts and just make it a phenomenal year to grow. And so we're looking to take this small group, really integrate you into the current members we have and get you fully. I mean, you would get going before 2023, but now it really rolls out to where you're fully set up and just feeling confident for 2023 because I think it's going to be a growth year for a lot of people. We're going to be diving into a lot of things for growth and even overcoming inflation as well. And so that's something that we're keeping in our top of mind as well. So if you're interested, first, to find out more information, you can go to modernchiropracticmarketing.com and you'll see a tab that says MCM Mastery. The new information is actually on there and there's a video you can also watch that goes through some of it, but I've given you a pretty good details on it. And so you can do that. And for the 15 that do sign up for this, there are going to be some bonuses. And you're going to get a full Google profile audit from Darcy Sullivan as well. I'm going to review your website. Okay. You're going to get a video that Grant Elliott was kind enough to produce for us. It's kind of meta. He produced a video on how to really shoot a great video. It's a video on how to shoot video. And so that's a great training tool that we give to new members as well. You'll have a financial call with me. Okay, so we dive into some finances. We're going to schedule a handful of times for that particular call. And if you're already a member, you'll have access to that as well. And then lastly, you're going to be in time for a really detailed, full 2023 marketing plan. I used to take on like 6 or 7 clients just to do, marketing planning for the year coming up in December. I'm not going to be doing that anymore, just too busy with my members of MCM Mastery, but we're going to do that for our Mastery members this year as well. So that's what you get, all 4 of those things I mentioned, plus these bonuses. And we're offering it at a rate that's just, in my opinion, we could charge double. And so it's $749 a month, $749 a month for this. If you're already a CSA member, we take that in consideration. So it's the $650 a month, right? So if you're a CSA member, it's $650 a month. If you're not, it's $749 and it includes the CSA. And from there, you are going to have a very comprehensive team around you. You're plugging us into your practice to help grow. And so check out Modern Chiropractic Marketing. Go to MCM Mastery. Watch that video if you need more information. Read through there. And then schedule a call with me on the website. Very easy to find where you fill out a form. I get that email directly. I send you a 30-minute free consult call link where we talk about it and then answer any of your questions. And then we go from there with it. Okay. And so we've basically designed a new MCM Mastery to tackle this problem of just being too busy, too burned out, not making it enough, and ultimately not having the practice and financial situation that you want, while making sure you're still putting care first. I mean, I'm a clinician at heart. I think you know that. One of the things that I was having dinner with Rich Ulm when I was in Ohio last weekend, speaking at the Ohio conference. And, Rich only knew me as the marketing person. And I was kind of telling him my background with all the sports and everything I've done clinically. Like I built my foundation of my career as a clinician working with athletes. And so I get it. Like that's the table stakes. But there's no reason why you can't put great business, marketing, communication, and finances around it and have a great life. And that's our massive transformative purpose here at MCM and MCM Mastery in particular. And so I hope you consider joining us. Check out the information, schedule a call with me. And again, we are limiting it to 15 for this year to get going, to make sure we onboard you appropriately. We feel great about it. We beta tested it, like I said, with our current 30 members over the last 4 months. I didn't want to just roll it out to a bunch of people. I wanted to make sure we ironed out the kinks, and we've done that. We've gotten great feedback from our members. And if you're a member and listening to this now, I appreciate everything you've done to help make this as quality as it is. And so I hope you will consider joining us if you haven't in the past. That is it for this week's episode, but before you leave, check us out at www.modernchiropracticmarketing.com for all kinds of free resources such as blogs and the podcast episodes. We've got online courses. You can check out the Chiropractic Success Academy there, which is an amazing online coaching system for you at a very affordable monthly rate. There's a free online course on the modernchiropracticmarketing.com website, so check that out. If you're interested in some one-on-one coaching, we can do that as well. We have all kinds of resources for you there, and we would also truly appreciate if you could rate and review this podcast if you're getting valuable information out of it. I can't thank you enough, and we'll see you next week.